Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon.
The time is 10 a.m.
Thank you for tuning into the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Dory, and I'm here with Tony, and we invite you to listen to our broadcast both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. And additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcasts by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU subcarrier airwaves, 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And we'll get started here with a story from the Springfield Business Journal. First off, we see a picture of Ozark Mountain Christmas with a booth about the official destination of the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a snowman and other Christmas decorations. A 5-year partnership agreement with organizations in Branson and the Kansas City Chiefs signed in 2023 is set to end early in May, says the caption. The story is written by Mike Cullinan, and a multi-year, multi-million-dollar partnership inked in the summer of 2023 between Branson and the Kansas City Chiefs is coming to an early conclusion. Through the $6.6 million deal signed by officials with the City of Branson, Branson Lakes Area Tourism Community Enhancement District, and the Chiefs, Branson became the official vacation destination of the four-time Super Bowl champs. However, according to a news release from the Branson Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce and Convention and Visitors Bureau, the agreement is set to conclude on May 15th. Quote, both the city and TCED mutually agreed that partnership had served its purpose, with other opportunities to invest in and take advantage of for the best marketing results of the destination, said Heather Herman, Chamber's Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, via email February 16th. Quote, for example, we have a healthy partnership with Great American Family that has brought us our first movie filmed in Branson and with Silver Dollar City. Opportunities like this have brought nationwide attention, exposure through a different platform, and will result in years of destination awareness through syndication. Great American Family is the flagship network of Arlington, Texas-based Great American Media. The company was at Silver Dollar City in January filming an Ozark Mountain Christmas, a movie which is set to premiere later this year, according to GreatAmericanFamily.com. Herman said the agreement will end with no penalties or additional funds required. Total local investment will be around $3.8 million. Through the deal with the Chiefs, both the city and the tourism district have been investing roughly $1.3 million annually, according to past Springfield Business Journal reporting. The tourism district collects tax revenue used to market Branson and the Lakes area as the destination marketing agency for Branson. The local chamber has been tasked with executing the details of the agreement. The organization was able to showcase the destination at numerous tailgating events, providing thousands of vacation guides, promotional materials, answers to travel planning questions, and highlighting the area's live music shows, attractions, and lakes, according to the release. Herman said chamber representatives were present at 8 tailgate sessions to promote the partnership during the 2024-25 and 25-26 Chiefs home schedule at Arrowhead Stadium. The deal also allows Branson access to experimental and digital activation assets of the Chiefs, such as the team's logos and kickoff rallies, which can be used in marketing efforts, including television and digital media, according to past reporting. In the release, officials noted the digital media assets help generate over 320,000 visits per year to ExploreBranson.com, the city's official tourism website. Quote, being partnered with the most popular team in the NFL brought us the opportunity to showcase Branson Lakes area to the millions of followers paying attention to the Chiefs. The tailgate events, newsletters, and social media exposure brought us new audiences and a chance to tell the Branson story, and hopefully our invitation results in more visitors from those with piqued interest, she said. Luke Shano, Vice President of Corporate Communication with the Chiefs, said the organization had no comment for this story. Through the deal, the chamber created in-stadium billboard placement at each home game for 3 seasons, reaching an average of over 70,000 people on site each game, according to the release. Branson also served as a hometown hero sponsor during games, recognizing more than 30 Missouri-based active-duty military, veterans, or essential workers for their service. According to past reporting, a portion of tax revenues designated for marketing has provided the local funds for the deal. The tourism district assesses a 1% sales tax in Stone and Taney counties, and the city's tourism tax applies a 4% rate for admissions and lodging and a 0.5% rate on food and beverage sales. It was a record-breaking year for Branson tourism tax revenue in 2025, as the total exceeded $19.6 million, a 10.1% increase over 2024, according to city data. Herman said destination marketing, such as what the chamber does, require constant evaluation of data and trends in the industry. Allowing the Chiefs agreement to sunset is one example of the chamber, quote, keeping its finger on the pulse of the industry and being prepared to pivot. Quote, we're excited for even more targeted marketing, allowing us to view the trends of visitation, bringing in signature and unique opportunities for the destination, and continuing to deliver high-impact marketing for Explore Branson that will certainly keep our local economy thriving, she said. Herman said the decision by the Chiefs to move across the state line to Kansas in a few years had no impact on the partnership ending early. The Chiefs announced in December plans to move to the Sunflower State with a new $3 billion dome stadium to be built in time for the 2031 season, according to media reports. The organization's lease on its Kansas City stadium, which has been the team's home since 1972, will expire after the 2030 season. The Chamber, City, and TCED will maintain contact with the Chiefs beyond the agreement's conclusion, Herman said, as officials seek marketing opportunities to showcase the Branson and Lakes area to the team's fans. Quote, we're keeping the line of communication open with the Chiefs marketing and leadership team, she said. There may be opportunities in the future to showcase the destination alongside their efforts at tailgates, meet and greet events, etc.
Good morning. A man was sentenced to a day in Greene County Jail for speeding at 122 miles per hour. Beginning the story, there's a photo of the Greene County Jail, the new one that opened in June of 2022. This appears to be prior to its opening, as it is empty and there is still plastic covering the seats. Steve Pokin from the Springfield Daily Citizen says that Cole Goff, age 20, was sentenced this month to spend 24 hours of shock time in the Greene County Jail from 8 a.m. Tuesday, February 17th to 8 a.m. the next day. The reason? For driving fast, way too fast. On June 21st last summer, court documents say a trooper with the Missouri State Highway Patrol clocked Goff at 122 miles per hour in a 2017 Ford F-250 pickup. The time was 6:45 p.m. The location is scratched off on the citation, but it was in a 60 mile per hour zone. At that speed, according to online calculators, an alert driver on a dry, flat road has a stopping distance of 326 yards. A football field is 100 yards. The speeding violation, more than 25 miles per hour above the speed limit, is a Class B misdemeanor punishable by up to 6 months in jail. Goff was also ticketed for failure to display license plates, an infraction, operating a vehicle without a title, an infraction, failure to wear a seatbelt, an infraction, and operating a vehicle with excessive tint on the windshield and a side window, a Class C misdemeanor. Goss had an attorney. He entered a negotiated plea of guilty February 5th and was ordered to pay fines totaling $281.50 and to complete 80 hours of community service work within 6 months. He was also ordered to attend an Alive at 25 class. According to the website, Alive at 25 is a highly effective 4-hour course that serves as an excellent complement to standard driver education programs. Participants in the Alive at 25 class will learn the negative effects and dangers associated with speeding, distractions, peer pressure, and driver inexperience. Topics discussed include, but are not limited to, current state laws related to speeding, impaired driving, seatbelt usage, and cell phone use to include texting. Speeding has been an emphasis for local law enforcement agencies in recent years as police work to cut down on deadly crashes in the region. Prior to announcing enhanced enforcement efforts, Springfield Police on August 23, 2024, made a Facebook post showing several instances of drivers caught going over 100 miles per hour. The article finishes with a screenshot of that Facebook post, the content of which says, "Slow down. Contrary to what these individuals may think, Highway 65 and James River Freeway are not drag strips. The speed limit on both highways through Springfield is 60 miles per hour, and if you're going through the construction zone, it's 50 miles per hour." Following that, there are 5 photos of speedometers, radar gun readings. One of them is 112 miles per hour, another one at 100 miles per hour, another one at 103, one at 102, and finally one at 105 miles per hour. Slow down out there, guys. It's not worth going to jail.
And from the Springfield Business Journal, a booster group organizes for a convention center lodging tax. And first off is a picture of the grass lot in the 700 block of East St. Louis Street, where the proposed convention and events center would be located. New group, Friends of SGF, has launched a campaign in support of the proposed convention and events center and related tax that will be appearing on the April 7th ballot. The co-chairs of Friends of SGF are Sally Hargis and Marshall Kinney. Hargis is chairman of the board of Ozarks Coca-Cola Dr. Pepper Bottling Company, and Kinney is regional president, Springfield for Point C, formerly MedPay LLC. Gordon Elliott, owner of Elliott Lodging Ltd., is the group's treasurer. The creation of the organization was announced in a news release issued this morning. Kinney confirmed that the group is currently filing paperwork to register as a political action committee with the Missouri Ethics Commission. The group was not registered as of this morning, and this article was written just yesterday, so perhaps we'll keep an eye out for an update if that registration does occur. In the news release, Hargis called the center a generational investment in Springfield's future. Quote, "It'll create new jobs, attract private investment, and position our city to compete for major events year-round." She said a yes vote means stronger tourism, stronger local businesses, and a facility that serves both national events and our own community. Kinney said in the release that the center is a transformational opportunity for the Queen City and one that will be paid for by visitors at the city's hotels rather than by local residents. The revenue is legally restricted to this project and will be overseen by a citizen committee to ensure every dollar is spent exactly as promised, said Kinney. Elliott adds that the visitor funds will support local infrastructure and create lasting benefits for Springfieldians. Quote, having reviewed the data as a local hotel owner, this is a smart use of a hotel-motel tax, one that reinvests tourism dollars to create even more economic activity for our city, Elliott said in the release. Jeff Seafried, co-owner of Mother's Brewing Company, offered his support to the tax measure. Quote, as a downtown business owner, I see firsthand how events drive foot traffic, which support local restaurants and shops, he said in the release. This project is a real opportunity to accelerate downtown's momentum and bring more customers through everyone's doors. The release spells out some arguments in favor of the tax issue in the release, which notes that the center is projected to create hundreds of new, permanent jobs while attracting more private investment to Springfield. These were the findings of a report by a paid consultant working for the city Chicago-based Hunden Strategic Partners, Inc. It adds that building a convention and event center would strengthen Springfield's reputation as a destination for major events, help boost year-round tourism, and expand opportunities for local events. The organizers offer several ways to get involved with Springfield with the Friends of SGF, including engaging as a volunteer or supporter, making a financial donation, or requesting a speaker at a civic or community meeting. The group's website is friendsofsgf.com, and a note on the homepage says it is dedicated to sharing facts about the tourism tax-funded center. The next headline reads, Opposition Planned. In addition to the booster group, vocal opposition to the center is mounting from some who link their planned no votes to a separate issue. House Bill 2847, state legislation that aims to take away city residents' right to referendum on zoning decisions. Wendy Baker Hoosier helped to organize the successful 2022 Galloway Village anti-zoning referendum, the only one in the city's history, with 70.5% of citywide voters rejecting a proposed elevation enterprises development across from Sequoia Park. Hoosier has said in public Facebook posts that if House Bill 2847 is not withdrawn, she will organize a public awareness campaign, including placing anti-tax measure yard signs in the 30 days leading up to the April vote. The Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce is pushing to eliminate our ability to challenging zoning by referendum while simultaneously advocating for the convention center, she wrote in a January 26th post that introduced her effort and included the yard sign design. When the same interests try to silence voters and then ask for their support, the response should be a simple no. SBJ has reached out to Hoosier for a comment. So far, House Bill 2847, proposed by Representative Jeff Knight of Lebanon, remains an active piece of legislation, but no hearing is scheduled, and the bill is not on the House calendar, according to the legislature's bill tracking website. Gauging public sentiment. The city's architect, Populous Inc., is seeking public feedback on the convention center, and at 9 a.m. yesterday, 111 responses were tallied. Survey takers ranked the most important initiatives to them as the community grows, with improving quality of life for residents coming out on top, followed by attracting jobs and economic opportunity and supporting local businesses. Asked what they would need to feel confident in supporting the project, a quarter of respondents cited stronger financial transparency, with 20% saying they need clear examples of everyday community use. Another 17% said they would need proof that the center supports local businesses. A narrative question asked respondents to answer the question, quote, 10 years from now, what would make you say that was a good investment for Springfield? A handful of responses from among dozens provided are as follows. If it provides an opportunity to grow the area and use for the benefit of the people, learning what the real economic impact to the community was, consistent use of the convention center, and financial independence. And finally, if we had a badass convention center. The survey, by the way, is open through today.
Well, let's have a badass convention center. In sad news, we have several obituaries posted since the weekend from the Springfield News-Leader. First up is Linda Diane Matherly, age 77, passed away February 8, 2026. Arrangements provided by Midwest Cremation and Funeral Services. Services on February 26th at 3 p.m. at Missouri State Veterans Cemetery. Next, Johnny W. Netzer, passed away on January 11th, 2026 in Hot Springs, Arkansas at the age of 96. Born on November 14th, 1929 in Springfield, Missouri to John F. and Adelia Thayer Netzer, Johnny spent his early years delivering newspaper by horseback and fishing throughout Greene County. He was drafted into the U.S. Army and served during the Korean War. In 1954, Johnny married Karen Copeland. Their marriage spanned 71 years. That same year, he began a long career with Harry Cooper Supply Company, where he worked until his retirement in 1991. Johnny had a lifelong passion for sports and the outdoors. He was an avid fast-pitch softball player and pitched for numerous teams over the years. He also enjoyed fishing, camping, and floating rivers across the region. A dedicated master gardener, Johnny took great pride in working outdoors and generously shared the fruits of his labor with others. He is survived by his wife, Karen Netzer, and their daughter, Marta Hines, of Bolivar, Missouri. May his memory bring comfort to those who knew him. Kenneth Edward Stewart, Ken, passed away on January 30th, 2026 in Springfield, Missouri at the age of 78. He is survived by sons Jeffrey D. Stewart and Shane Stewart and wife Pam Stewart. A memorial service will be held February 21st, 6 p.m. at Sunset Church of Christ, Springfield. Carolyn Ray Early Smith passed away February 13th, 2026 in Columbia, Missouri. Funeral services will be held on Friday, February 20th at 2 p.m. with visitation from 1 to 2 p.m. at Gorman Scharf Funeral Home. Full obituary can be read at gormanscharf.com. Finally, we have Donald Richard Brown, age 90, who passed away of natural causes in his home on February 4th, 2026. He was born in St. Joseph, Missouri, to Belva and Robert Brown on March 26, 1935. After graduating from Benton High School, he enrolled in St. Joseph Junior College, where he met his future wife, Janet K. Waller. Janet and Don were married in 1957 and spent 68 very happy years together until Janet's death in November. They had 2 daughters, Kelly and Andrea. Don joined the Missouri Air National Guard in 1953 and worked for 10 years in aircraft maintenance at Rosecrans Airfield before returning to college. He remained in the Guard Reserves and retired as a captain after 20 years of service. In 1972, Don graduated at the top of his class from UMKC School of Pharmacy, and shortly thereafter, the family moved to Springfield for Don to start his pharmacy career. Throughout his career, he worked in retail pharmacy, established a pharmacy in Marionville, worked in hospital pharmacy at Cox, and ended his career as a pharmacy consultant for long-term care facilities in and around Springfield. He served as the president of the Springfield Pharmaceutical Association and was on the Missouri State Board of Pharmacy from 1987 to 1992, where he also served as president. Don was a talented wood carver and painter, specializing in duck decoys, wooden boxes, and pen and ink watercolor drawings. He exhibited his art at many shows in the Kansas City and St. Louis areas, as well as Silver Dollar City. Don was a life sponsor of Ducks Unlimited and donated many decoys and boxes to fundraisers through the years, raising thousands of dollars, quote, for the Ducks. He spent many happy hours in his shop and his studio, always working on something new up until the very end of his life. Without consulting Janet, Don bought a cabin on Table Rock Lake in 1974, which became and continues to be the center of many happy family memories over the past 52 years. Don and Janet found joy in hosting family and friends there every summer. Don also enjoyed fishing with his guard buddies, duck hunting, traveling, and reading. He was a faithful member of Wesley United Methodist Church and a volunteer with Friends of the Library. He was also a great dancer. He was a wonderful father to Kelly and Andrea, and he took delight in his grandchildren. He was a devoted father and grandpa, attending every sporting, dance, or school event that came around, and loved seeing his girls and his grandchildren start families of their own. Don was preceded in death by his soulmate and wife, Janet Waller Brown, his parents, his sister-in-law, Pat Waller, his brother-in-law, Michael Waller, and his brother, Douglas Brown. He is survived by his daughter, Kelly Nichols, and her husband, Nelson, and Andrea Still and her husband, Tony, both of the Springfield area. He has 5 grandchildren and 2 bonus granddaughters, Leah Joel, Logan Still, Lucas Still, Sierra Stream, Skylar Nelson, Lori Wolf, and Beth Nichols Beisner. Don has 12 beloved great-grandchildren and 1 great-great-grandson. He is also survived by his sister and brother-in-law, Sandra and Ray Bally in Omaha, sister-in-law Mary Ann Waller in St. Joseph, brother-in-law Gary Waller in Fawcett, and many much-loved nieces and nephews in St. Joseph, Omaha, and Kansas City. A private family service will be held at a later date. Memorial donations may be made to the Donald and Janet Brown Pharmacy Scholarship, UMKC College of Pharmacy, UMKC Foundation, 202 Administrative Center, 5115 Oak Street, Kansas City, Missouri, 64112. Online condolences may be made at www.gormansharf.com.
Well, what are the chances of IKEA coming to Springfield? Fans of trendy home furnishings, affordable furniture, and Swedish meatballs will soon have another option in the region to get their fix. IKEA has announced it is building a new store in Tulsa, the first in Oklahoma. The new location will be a quick 2.5-hour drive on I-44 from Springfield, same distance to the retailer's Kansas City area store in the suburb of Merriam, Kansas. IKEA also has a store in St. Louis, which is about 3 hours from Springfield. However, customers wanting that full warehouse-sized IKEA experience will still have to drive to Merriam or St. Louis. According to the city of Tulsa, the 51,000 square foot store will fill a former Belk location and is set to open later this year. The store's footprint will be smaller than the 359,000 square foot Merriam store and the 380,000 square foot St. Louis store. While historically focusing on larger square footage locations, the Sweden-based retailer has recently pivoted towards smaller, quote, plan and order points with pickup, stores to serve smaller cities. The stores have a more limited selection of merchandise, including around 3,000 different products and smaller furniture products. For items not on the on-site inventory, customers can order online and pick them up on site. Quote, while customers will still not find the entire IKEA product range on site, the small store format offers the most relevant range of products and provides digital access to everything that IKEA offers, an IKEA spokesperson told Nextstar's The Hill in 2025. Well, could Springfield get an IKEA store sometime in the future? This is one of the more common questions which has been submitted. Ozarks First has reached out to IKEA for details on store plans and the process for choosing locations. However, they had not heard back from them. It can be confirmed that IKEA has never publicly announced plans to build a store in our area. However, more Springfield-sized cities have been popping up on the retailer's radar within the last couple of years. Traditionally, IKEA has chosen cities with metro areas of around 2 million people for its larger format stores. However, as part of an expansion initiative, the company is moving into smaller markets with the slimmed-down plan and order stores. For instance, Tulsa's metro area includes just over 1 million people. And while that's still twice as big as the Springfield metro area, there's another ray of hope for IKEA fans when it comes to our area's chances of landing a store. In 2026, IKEA announced the construction of a new plan and order store in Huntsville, Alabama, which has a population of about 215,000 people and a metro area of 540,000. Compare that to Springfield, which is similar in style and size, with approximately 175,000 city inhabitants and a metro area of around 496,000. When it comes to planning new locations, retailers like IKEA look at several factors, including regional population, demographics, economics, and proximity to other stores. While the Springfield Metro would probably need to quadruple in size before getting a full-size store, with the retailer's new focus on smaller cities, it is possible we could eventually see one of the reduced-size stores sooner rather than later.
That would be nice. At the Springfield Daily Citizen, Steve Pokin is answering, why are so many churches dropping their denomination from the name? The article begins with a photo of the sign at High Street Church, highstreet.org. Answer man, I've noticed that several churches have changed their names by dropping their denomination. For example, Schweitzer United Methodist Church is now Schweitzer Church. High Street Baptist Church is now High Street Church. What's going on? Jonna Montiglione of Springfield. I'll start the answer with the specific churches you mentioned, Jonah, and then provide the big picture reason, which is the national growth of non-denominational churches and decline of those affiliated with a denomination. Pastor Eddie Lyons at High Street Baptist Church, 901 North Eastgate Avenue, has an explanation that surprised me. During COVID, everybody went online and we had to get a YouTube channel, he says. The name High Street Baptist Church was owned by a church in Ohio, and somebody offered to sell it to us for a lot of money, and I'm like, no, we don't want to do that. What was available was High Street Church, so we said, let's do it. We don't have time to dilly-dally. We've got to get this thing going. So our branding was switched to High Street Church. He tells me the church has the full name on the building and is still part of the Southern Baptist Convention. Schweitzer Church has dropped the United Methodist from its name. That's a result of the schism in denomination over several issues, including the ordination of gay clergy and the performance of weddings for gay couples. The United Methodist denomination moved to accept the ordination of gay clergy and the marriage of gay couples. The congregations that did not accept those changes left the denomination and dropped the United Methodist from their names. If you Google churches in Springfield, Missouri, as I did, you'll find a host of churches with names like Hill City Church at 2050 East Traffic Way, New Life Church at 776 West Farm Road 186, Awakening Church of God at 3010 West Nichols Street, Life Church at 1655 West Republic Road, and North Point Church, with locations in Springfield, Nixa, and Republic. When you look at their websites, you don't find a denominational affiliation. Instead, you find what's typically called a statement of beliefs. Hill City, for example, lists its basic beliefs regarding Scripture, Trinity, the fall, Jesus Christ, salvation, baptism, and the church. North Point Church's website states that the church was launched in 2003 out of a dream to see a church community that engaged people from all walks of life, but on the North Point of Springfield, Missouri. It also says North Point was a church, quote, planted by James River Assembly. Coincidentally, James River Assembly is now the non-denominational James River Church, having left the Assemblies of God denomination in 2025. When I called Life Church for this story, the local pastor referred me to Rachel Furborn, a spokesperson in Oklahoma, who told me, quote, it's about having a name that's both easy to remember and represents our belief that whoever finds God finds life, Furborn told me via email. We've actually had several names over the years in an effort to help people find us more easily. Before our current name, we were lifechurch.tv, which was reflective of our video teaching. Andrew Kirshner is the lead minister of Glendale Christian Church at 2110 South Blackman Road. We're non-denominational, and that just means we're not part of any hierarchical structure, he says. We're locally autonomous. We want everyone to know that we're just a Church of Christ or a Christian church, he says. So when someone asks, are you a Baptist church? No. Are you a Lutheran church? No, we're just a Christian church. One of our little slogans is, we're Christians only, but not the only Christians. Christian churches, such as Glendale, often take their name from their geographical location, such as the street where they are located. But, I pointed out, Glendale Christian Church is not close to Glendale High School. Why the name? Because the congregation was once located next to Glendale High School, Kirshner says. The church moved to its present location on Blackman Road in 2000 and kept its name. The former building next to Glendale High is home to the Experience Church. In fact, there is an entire subset of church names based on where a church once was rather than where it is today. For example, why is there a High Street Baptist Church when the building is on Eastgate Avenue? It's because the congregation originally met at 1253 North Prospect Avenue at High Street. Dayspring Church is now in that building. The trend toward non-denominational churches is not new in America, says Bob Smiatana, a longtime reporter who covers religion at Religion News Service. First, almost all major denominations, except the Assemblies of God, are in decline, he told me via email. That's mostly because older church members are dying off and their kids are less religious and so aren't joining their parents' churches. And because most denominations have churches in places where people used to live and haven't built new churches in growing areas. Second, Americans switch churches a lot, and so folks are looking for new places to worship, often when they move. Third, he adds, Protestant denominations have splintered, and local churches no longer sing the same songs or use the same Sunday school material or have the same worship style as other churches in their denomination. A denominational label no longer means what it used to mean. The most influential churches in the United States are all non-denominational, and they have shaped the way new churches are formed, Smiatana says. The U.S. Religion Census, conducted by the Association of Statisticians of American Religious Bodies, is the most comprehensive study of religious congregations and their followers in the United States. According to the 2020 U.S. Religion Census, non-denominational Christian churches comprise the second largest body as measured by followers, trailing only the Catholic Church. Since 2010, the number of non-denominational congregations has increased by nearly 9,000 and the number of followers by nearly 9 million. Ryan Burge is a professor at the John C. Danforth Center at Washington University in St. Louis. He writes the popular Substack newsletter, Graphs About Religion. Burge wrote this on July 23, 2023. There are mountains of more ink that can be spilled over the rise of non-denominational Christianity. I think it's probably the most visible manifestation of how American society, and by extension American religion, has changed so dramatically in the last 2 decades. We used to be a nation of institutions. The government, unions, and religious denominations were held in high regard by the average American. Now, American society is largely bottom-up. It's not institutions that run the show, it's individuals. Society has demolished the gatekeepers. Social media allows anyone with an internet connection to build a following in the tens of thousands in mere days. The most recent data says that nearly 13% of all adults in the United States are non-denominational Protestant Christians. There are more non-denominationals in the U.S. today than mainline Protestants. This is Answer Man column number 161.
And 7 brew owners are suing Springfield Construction Company owner for fraud. This is from the Springfield News-Leader. The owners of popular drive-through coffee chain 7 Brew are suing the owner and a former employee of the company that manufactures its modular buildings, according to a court document. Club 37, LLC, owned by Ron and Lisa Kroom of Benton County, Arkansas, is suing Lee and Leanna Lovell for, quote, gross mismanagement, self-dealing, conversion, and fraud. Club 37 LLC is suing the Lovells on behalf of Creative Modular Construction, since the Crooms own half of the company and Lee Lovell owns the other half. CMC was created in March 2021, court records said, to serve as the exclusive modular building manufacturer for the 7 Brew coffee chain. The Crooms believe that the Lovells diverted over $2 million from CMC for their own personal use. In the court documents, Club 37 alleges that on multiple occasions the Lovells withdrew funds from a CMC bank account for personal use, including to buy a truck for their son, Clay Lovell, as a, quote, loan, used a CMC line of credit to charge family trips to Hawaii and elsewhere as business expenses, wrote checks to other companies, quote, without legitimate business justification, and that Lee Lovell received a large distribution he requested, quote, on the condition that it be used as a capital contribution in a building project, but that Lovell instead kept the funds. Club 37 also alleges that Lance Lovell, another son of Lee and Leanna Lovell, who works in CMC's IT department, has refused to provide Club 37 access to CMC IT systems and backups. It also says that the Lovells have not provided access to financial backups, which is preventing Club 37 from conducting a forensic accounting investigation. In January of 2026, Club 37 gave a notice of dissociation from CMC to Lee and Leanna and terminated Lee Lovell as an employee and manager. To date, quote, Mr. Lovell has ignored his dissociation and termination, harming CMC's operations and reputation in a desperate attempt to maintain and cover up defendants' bad acts, the petition said. J. Taylor White and Haley Mers of Kutax Rock's Springfield Law Office are representing the Lovells. White emailed a statement on February 16th on behalf of his clients, quote, the Lovells vehemently deny the allegations contained in Club 37's lawsuit and look forward to addressing the allegations at the next hearing if the case is not dismissed prior to that time. E. Ryan Olson of Hush Blackwell in Springfield is representing CMC, and Emily Neal of Eldridge Brooks Partners in Rogers, Arkansas, is representing Club 37. Neither have responded to requests for comment. Judge issues a temporary restraining order motion hearing scheduled, reads the next headline. And on February 9th, Judge Derek A. Ankrum approved Club 37's motion for a temporary restraining order that prohibits the Lovells from altering or destroying CMC's books, records, and IT systems, and mandates the Lovells provide documents to Club 37, including payroll information, phone invoices, bank statements, invoices, and payments. A motion hearing on Club 37's request for injunction will take place March 3rd, according to court records. 7 Brew Coffee opened in Rogers, Arkansas in 2017. Its first Springfield location opened in December 2021, and currently there are 7 drive-through stands in the Springfield area.
And coming to us from Janice Reeser with the Springfield News-Leader, ARC of the Ozarks expands their autism services with a new Springfield site. The Arc of the Ozarks has acquired a second building from Empower Abilities to expand its Autism and Neurodevelopmental Center. The new property at 1450 West Cambridge Street will allow the ARC to increase access to diagnostic and treatment services for children and families in Southwest Missouri, according to a community announcement. This purchase builds on the ARC's 2022 acquisition of Empower Abilities' original building, which became home to the growing Autism Center. The additional space will enable the organization to serve more children, expand clinical services, and reduce wait times for autism evaluations and therapy. The partnership between the ARC and Empower Abilities reflects a shared commitment to maximizing community impact. As Empower Abilities relocates its offices, the ARC will use the Cambridge Street property to meet the increasing demand for autism diagnostic and treatment services in the region. Access to timely autism diagnosis and therapy can make a life-changing difference for children and their families, Mike Powers, president and CEO, said in the announcement. This expansion allows us to respond to the growing need in our community, serve more families sooner, and continue delivering high-quality, compassionate care. The Arc of the Ozarks has provided disability services in Southwest Missouri for nearly 60 years, supporting individuals with disabilities to live as active members of their communities. The expanded Autism Center space represents another step forward in the organization's commitment to innovation, access, and community partnership, according to the announcement. The acquisition of the second building is part of a larger effort to enhance services for individuals with disabilities in the region. By expanding its Autism Center, the Arc of the Ozarks is working to address the increasing demand for diagnosis and therapy services. More information about the Arc of the Ozarks and its Autism Center services is available at arcoftheozarks.com.
And by the way, this one's too good not to share. Today, by the way, is Cow Milked While Flying in an Airplane Day. Today, we celebrate the day the first cow flew in an airplane, as well as the first day a cow was milked while flying in an airplane. This happened on February 18th, 1930, when a Guernsey cow named Nellie J., who was also known as Elm Farm Ollie, flew from Bismarck, Missouri on a Ford Trimeter plane to the International Aviation Exhibit in St. Louis. Nellie J. was chosen because she was a high milk producing cow and because she had a calm nature. The trip was taken to show the ability of the aircraft and to take scientific data about the cow's behavior. Claude M. Sterling piloted the aircraft while Ellsworth M. W. Bunce of Wisconsin accompanied the cow and was the first man, by the way, to milk a cow in flight. During the 72-mile flight, the milk that Nellie J. gave was packaged in paper cartons. It was then parachuted to spectators who were watching the flight. Nellie J. Reportedly produced 24 quarts of milk during the flight, and it's even believed that Charles Lindbergh received one of the quarts at the exhibition. Nellie J. became known as the Sky Queen after the flight. And if you can't celebrate the day by milking a cow while flying in an airplane, you, of course, can take an airplane flight or, of course, head over to a farm and milk a cow. But anyway, there you go. There you go. So, Nikki, good morning.
I love it. Hi. My name's Nikki. I'm stepping in for Tony for the rest of this morning. I want to say we are currently broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store situated at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. For additional information about our store, please visit our official website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. To explore more of our video content, including movie reviews with Matt and Meredith, adaptive technology training videos, and other informative material, please visit our YouTube channel by searching for Blind Community Thrift Store. Our organization is dedicated to supporting the blind community through various initiatives, and our online platforms serve as valuable resources for community engagement and education. And now I will say that Tony left me up some stories. And so this first one here is from the Springfield Daily Citizen, the Answer Man, Steve Pokin columns. What's going on at Kansas Expressway and Kearney in Springfield? All right, so the Answer Man, do you know what is being built at the southeast corner of Kearney Street and Kansas Expressway? Submitted by Mark Gideon of Springfield. The Sansone Group, a commercial real estate group based in St. Louis, posted on Facebook on December 15th that it's going to be Springfield's first Dobbs Tire and Auto Center. The Facebook post says the 2.38-acre site will include an 8,730 square foot building and is scheduled to open in the second quarter of 2026. This marks the first project to close in our Springfield Market expansion. The location is just north of a Mr. Car Wash. Dobbs opened its first store in 1976 in South St. Louis. According to its website, it has 97 locations across Missouri, Illinois, Texas, and Ohio, with recent acquisitions of Longview, Texas-based Automotive Supercenter, Columbia, Missouri-based Custom Complete Automotive, and Cleveland, Ohio-based Conrad's Tire Express and Car Care.
And from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield plans a large municipal court building but needs more funds. A couple of key points. Springfield is considering a new municipal court building to replace its current inadequate facility. The proposed two-story building would be more than 4 times larger than the current one, and the total estimated cost for the project is over $42 million, with complete funding not yet secured. Springfield is looking at an upgrade to its municipal court building, but such an endeavor is costly, and all the funding has yet to be identified. Architects with Inform Architecture presented to Springfield City Council the findings of their study and a proposal for a new and improved municipal court building on Tuesday the 17th, yesterday. Inform is also currently working on the Greene County Circuit Court expansion and a new secure entrance, and was the architect of the new Greene County Jail. City Chief spokesperson Cora Scott confirmed to the News-Leader that the city's contract with Inform is not to exceed $50,000, with total billed at roughly $48,500. The current municipal court building at 625 North Benton Avenue has long been considered inadequate to serve the modern needs of Springfield's courts. The building dates back to 1965 and was used as a cafeteria before municipal court operations moved in 1993. Stephanie Shadwick, principal and architecture at Inform, said the current facility lacks the space for proper security screening, caseloads, and adequate workstations, and does not provide ADA accessible facilities. Due to its age, it also has experienced utility issues and water infiltration problems. And what follows is a shot of a picture of the new, or rendering of the new Springfield Municipal Court building, which has been proposed at the intersection of Chestnut Expressway and Boonville. After a year-long study, the architects are proposing a 2-story building with a basement floor for staff parking and secure entry for inmates that will span nearly 44,500 square feet total. That more than quadruples the current footprint of 9,700 square feet. The new facility would add another courtroom with a possible option for a third one in the near future. Shadwick highlighted several shell areas that would be built into the new building to accommodate future growth of the offices within the municipal courts. A large portion of this larger footprint would be dedicated to circulation to ensure staff, the public, and inmates all have separate access ways to the building. The next headline reads, "Where will it go?" The new building, expected to be built just to the west of historic City Hall on Chestnut Expressway between Campbell Avenue and Boonville Avenue on property already owned by the city. The building itself would be centered towards the corner of Chestnut and Boonville, with the main entrance across the street from historic City Hall. The parking lot would expand on the west side. The external design of the building has kept the nearby governmental facilities in mind to keep the campus cohesive. Quote, "We wanted to be mindful and be respectful of the scale of the buildings as it relates to the historic City Hall," Shadwick said. "We don't want it overshadowing that, but we do want to create this gateway entry to this intergovernmental campus." Of course, we're all wondering how much it will cost. The total price tag for the project estimated at just a little more than $42 million at current prices. Shadwick said that considering a 3% inflation rate, that price could be $48.7 million by 2031. Deputy City Manager Colin Quigley presented possible options for funding the project. Currently, one-time funds from the marijuana sales tax, sale of the existing court building, court fee revenues, state reimbursement for Hammonds Field, and carryover funds could cover almost $6.5 million. That would leave $35.5 million to be financed with a nearly $2.9 million annual debt service payment. However, currently identified ongoing sources of funding still fall $1.8 million short of the annual payment. Quigley pointed to some additional options that have not yet been calculated into the possible funding, like the half-cent Spring Forward Springfield sales tax. Quote, "So we don't have all the funds yet figured out. We're trying to get there, turn over every rock we can to look at all the different options that are out there," he said. While the city has roughly $5 million in national class action settlement funds from opioid manufacturers, Quigley said that these are very specifically slated for expenses more focused on programming and operations than facilities. And the final byline reads, "What's the timeline?" Chadwick said from the time that the city issues requests for proposals to construction completion, this would be roughly 4 years. The actual construction, she said, could take roughly 18 months. With funding not yet identified, it is not yet certain when this process could get underway. Quigley said the current building that houses municipal courts would be sold using an RFP process to ensure the high-profile corner finds its best use and is not simply sold off.
And from the Springfield News-Leader this morning, Springfield Library gets grant for Rosie Book Club events and outreach is the title of the headline. The Springfield Greene County Library Foundation has received an $18,800 grant to support the Rosie Book Club, according to a community announcement. The grant, provided by Dr. Nancy D. O'Reilly and Women Connect for Good, Incorporated, will help cover the costs of food at club meetings, fund incentives and door prizes, and raise awareness of the program, according to the announcement. The funding will also support an annual author visit at the Library Center Hatch Auditorium and provide books to encourage regular participation. The Rosie Book Club is a joint offering of Leadership Springfield and the Springfield Greene County Library District. It meets every other month to discuss fiction and nonfiction titles by women, with meetings primarily held at women-owned businesses. The club is open to everyone and aims to create opportunities for networking, skill building, and personal growth without the barriers of dues, membership requirements, or sales expectations. The Rosie Book Club is something special, providing and creating a space where women can connect, learn, and encourage one another. Women Connect for Good is excited to partner with Leadership Springfield and the Springfield Greene County Library District on this program expansion and help more women access the relationships, resources, and encouragement they need to lead, Dr. Nancy D. O'Reilly, founder and CEO of Women Connect for Good, Incorporated, said in the announcement.
And from the Springfield News-Leader, Arc of the Ozarks expands autism services with a new Springfield site. The Arc of the Ozarks has acquired a second building from Empower, abilities to expand its Autism and Neurodevelopmental Center. The new property is at 1450 West Cambridge Street, and this will allow the Arc to increase access to diagnostic and treatment services for children and families in Southwest Missouri, according to a community announcement. This purchase builds on the Arc's 2022 acquisition of Empower Abilities original building, which became home to the growing Autism Center. The additional space will enable the organization to serve more children, expand clinical services, and reduce wait times for autism evaluations and therapy. The partnership between the ARC and Empower means Abilities reflects a shared commitment to maximizing community impact. As Empower Abilities relocates its offices, the ARC will be using the Cambridge Street property to meet the increasing demand for autism diagnostic and treatment services in the region. And the byline reads, access to timely autism diagnosis is crucial. Access to timely autism diagnosis and therapy can make a life-changing difference for children and their families, according to Mike Powers, President CEO, said in the announcement. This expansion will allow us to respond to the growing need in our community, serve more families sooner, and continue delivering high-quality, compassionate care. The Arc of the Ozarks has provided disability services in Southwest Missouri for nearly 60 years, supporting individuals with disabilities to live as active members of their communities. The expanded Autism Center space represents another step forward in the organization's commitment to innovation, access, and community partnership, according to the announcement. And the partnership benefits both organizations. The acquisition of the second building is part of a larger effort to enhance service for individuals with disabilities in the region. By expanding its Autism Center, the Arc of the Ozarks is working to address the increasing demand for diagnosis and therapy services. More information can be found on their website, thearcoftheozarks.org. And a burn ban has been issued in Doolittle District. Violations can cost up to $500 an hour. The Doolittle Rural Fire Protection District has issued an immediate burn ban for the entire district, citing hazardous weather and fire conditions. Fire Chief Williams announced the order yesterday, stating that no outdoor burning of any kind is allowed until further notice. The ban is authorized under Ordinance 1.100, which requires all open burning within the district to follow Missouri Department of Natural Resources regulations. State rules outline what materials can be legally burned outdoors and are detailed under 10 ESR 3.030. District officials said burn bans are issued when conditions make Open burning unsafe notices are sent to local media outlets, including the Raleigh Daily News, Phelps County Focus, and radio stations KAID, KZNN, and KXMO. A similar notice will be issued when the ban is lifted. Violations of the burn ban can result in penalty fees if firefighters are required to respond. The district may charge $100 for an emergency response, $500 per hour for time spent on scene. The cost of consumable materials or rented equipment and any additional expenses related to the incident. And officials urge residents to follow the order to prevent brush fires and reduce strain on emergency crews. And in some good news, on February 9th, SeaWorld in Orlando received a call there was an exhausted manatee stuck in a storm drain that needed immediate help. Arriving on scene, rescuers quickly confirmed that the juvenile male had entered a storm drain and did not know how to escape. Crews had to break through concrete, dig through several feet of soil to reach a baffle box, the structure where he'd become trapped. Authorities believe he swam into the storm drain seeking warmth during a recent cold snap. The rescue lasted several hours before the 410-pound marine mammal was transported to SeaWorld's Rescue and Rehab Center for Manatees. Facility rescued 56 manatees in 2025, and this young male is already the 7th this year. After an examination, it was determined he was significantly underweight and showed signs of skin lesions that told of a struggle against the concrete baffle box. 3 days later, SeaWorld sent word out that the unfortunate was showing signs of improvement. He was breathing on his own, moving independently, and was showing interest in food. Yay. Our animal care team is awaiting lab results, which will guide the care plan for this manatee in the next steps, SeaWorld Orlando has said in a statement. Our goal is always to stabilize and rehabilitate rescued manatees so they can ultimately be returned to the wild once deemed healthy and stable by the zoo teams. There are 2 recognized subspecies of the West Indian manatee, one the Florida manatee and the other the Antillean manatee.
All right, and from the Springfield Daily Citizen. From West Texas to Springfield with love, Amore Italian opens. Meaning love in Italian, Amore will feature a menu with both classics and new spins. We see a picture here. This is North Glenstone, and the sign for the restaurant says Amore Italian Restaurant and Bar, established 2025. Open, open. All right. A new Italian restaurant with roots in West Texas opened in Center Springfield in early February. Amore Italian, located at 853 North Glenstone Avenue, opened February 7th, co-owner Arlette Smith said. The restaurant will hold a grand opening celebration later this year. Amore aims to be an authentic Italian eatery in Springfield with traditional plates. Meaning love in Italian, Amore will feature a menu with both classics and new spins. The list of pastas is extensive. Amore will also feature specialty dishes like rack of lamb and aragosta, or pasta with lobster. The menu features an entire seafood section. The idea behind the restaurant's name is simple, Smith said. Basically, the idea of the name is like when people come into the restaurant, we show them how we take care of them. Smith said, how good is the food, the service, customer service, the ambiance? And they are like, oh, so this is what love is. Smith co-owns Amore with her husband, Gustavo Torres. Torres and Smith have partnered with Vinny Yaha to bring Amore to Springfield. Yaha owns 2 other Amore restaurants in West Texas, Smith said. Torres, the head chef, wanted to come back to Missouri and knew Springfield would be a great location to launch the restaurant, Smith said. The couple moved to Springfield in 2025 to start on the restaurant. The owners signed a 5-year lease in the building that formerly housed Jose Locos before it moved next door, Smith said. Amore is waiting on the necessary liquor licenses to be approved, but the restaurant will feature a full bar as soon as possible. The Italian eatery will offer plenty of wine options. Amore is open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m., Smith said. The restaurant closes at 9 p.m. Sunday and Monday and 10 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. The property that houses Amore is owned by 853 LLC and had just over 5,000 square feet, according to the Greene County Assessor's Office records. It was appraised at $67,300. According to Missouri Secretary of State records, 853 LLC is registered to Annie Wu of Springfield.
And cattle found dead, drone damaged by gunfire in a Polk County investigation. This story is from Bolivar. A Greene County man accused of shooting down a Polk County Sheriff's Office drone that had been sent up to help look for missing livestock. Keith DeBoe, born in '68, of Battlefield, is charged with armed criminal action, first-degree property damage, and an unlawful use of a weapon, all felonies per online court records. The alleged incident happened last year, December 30th, 2025, near Bolivar. A deputy launched the drone in the afternoon as part of a follow-up investigation into missing livestock. About an hour into the flight, the deputy spotted 2 deceased cattle on the southwest edge of DeBoe's property. The statement says, minutes later, the drone's camera started shaking, and then the aircraft suddenly veered. The deputy brought it down and found damage consistent with being struck by a bullet, including damaged propellers and a hole through the body of the aircraft, according to the statement. The deputy then went to a nearby home and spoke with DeBoe, identified in the statement as the property owner. When asked if he knew a drone had been flying, DeBoe initially said it was shot down. The statement says, after being told the flight had been recorded, he said, "So I did it," and allegedly acknowledged firing at it. The statement says he retrieved a Ruger 10-22 rifle from inside the residence. Investigators see the rifle and collected a spent casing, the statement says. At the time it was hit, the drone was about 375 feet above the ground and roughly 100 yards from DeBoe's location. The deputy reported being directly beneath the bullet's travel path. The statement estimates the drone's replacement value at more than $8,000 and says the damage meets Missouri's felony threshold for first-degree property damage, which applies when someone knowingly damages another's property by more than $750. One of the unlawful use counts listed in the document alleges firing into an aircraft, which is included under Missouri's unlawful use of weapons law. DeBoe is due in court in early March.
Let's look at some items in Today in History. First of all, in 1930, Pluto was discovered by Clyde Tombaugh. On this day in 1930, Clyde Tombaugh, a 24-year-old American with no formal training in astronomy, discovered the dwarf planet Pluto. Born into a farming family, Tombaugh had fallen in love with astronomy as a teenager and was determined to find Planet X, a hypothetical body that existed past Neptune. Lowell Observatory, after seeing Tombaugh's drawings, hired him as an assistant and groundskeeper, where he continued his search. Using the lab's astrograph, Tombaugh eventually found a tiny pinprick that he identified as a planet rather than a star. Additionally, more events on this day. American activist Norma McCorvey died at age 69. She was the original plaintiff, anonymized as Jane Roe, in the landmark U.S. Supreme Court ruling Roe v. Wade in 1973, which made abortion legal throughout the United States until it was overturned in 2022. Also, on this date in 2006, American speed skater Shawnee Davis became the first black athlete to win an individual Winter Olympics gold medal when he placed first in the men's 1,000-meter-long track final at the Games in Turin, Italy. Also on this date in history, in 2001, stock car racer Dale Earnhardt Sr. died from injuries suffered during a crash in the final lap of the Daytona 500. And lastly, 1933. On this date, artist and musician Yoko Ono, who became internationally famous as the artistic partner and wife of musician John Lennon, was born.
Well, Missouri families fear Medicaid disability cuts as Kehoe faces pressure to reconsider. Some Missouri families are sounding the alarm over proposed Medicaid disability service cuts from Governor Mike Kehoe, featuring the changes could strip away critical support for some of the state's most vulnerable residents. Even some lawmakers within the governor's own party are raising red flags due to concerns about what the potential impacts could mean for communities already facing significant barriers. They're urging the governor to find another solution. For 26-year-old Peter Whitaker, those proposed cuts feel personal. Peter has Down syndrome, shares an unshakable bond with Zach Craddock, his best friend, movie partner, and daily support system. And what follows a shot of those two gentlemen along with their dog. Peter said he helps him a lot. He knows just how much Craddock, who calls himself Peter's assistant, means to him. Simply put, Craddock gives him an entirely new outlook on life. Craddock says, quote, "I love it. I look forward to it. Every time Peter and I hang out, it's new adventure. We always have stories to tell. The two spend hours together every single week through Missouri's Self-Directed Supports Program, which allows individuals with disabilities to choose and direct their own caregivers. Governor Kehoe's newly released 2027 budget proposal calls for drastic reductions to Medicaid disability services as the state faces a proposed budget shortfall of nearly $2 billion. The proposal includes more than $80 million in cuts, including $17 million from self-directed supports, the very program that allows Craddock to work with Peter. Quote, "These proposed cuts, it directly impacts people, and it's the people who are most marginalized," Craddock said. "It's the people who already have these barriers sit before them, and now we're going to add a monetary barrier. It makes no sense to me. There has to be a better way." Peter's mother, Debbie Whitaker, said without this care, she doesn't know what would happen to her son. But her concern extends beyond her own family to the many others who rely on these services every day, particularly those enrolled in the program. Quote, "Why are they making these cuts?" she asked. "I understand you've got to make cuts in a budget. You've got to balance a budget. But there's got to be other places where you can get this money. It's keeping kids like Pete in their homes. It's keeping them from going into an institution, being out of the community. It keeps them where they need to be." Republican State Representative Mike Steinmeier, who sits on the House Budget Committee, said he believes the governor will take another look. Quote, "I understand their concerns and there is legitimacy there," Steinmeier said. He said he understands families' concerns and remains hopeful that the proposed funding cuts won't move forward as written. "I think the governor will revisit that part of the checks and balances," the state representative said. The Whitakers are asking the governor to make cuts elsewhere in the budget. "Please find the money. If you have to make cuts, please find it somewhere else. Don't take it from these individuals," Debbie said. Peter adds, quote, "Tell them to stop." The governor's office was reached out for comment but has not been heard back. However, in a statement, Governor Kehoe's office said his budget recommendation reduces more than $600 million from the general revenue budget, beginning to address the projected $2 billion shortfall. His office said the reductions prioritize fiscal discipline while continuing to meet mandatory and high-priority obligations. The proposal marks just the beginning of the legislative budget process. As it unfolds, we'll continue to follow the story and bring you any more developments.
All right, today's holidays. In addition to today, which is February 18th, being observed as Ash Wednesday, which is observed 46 days before Easter, I've also found this interesting story. Today is Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. Now, I know we're a little bit past breakfast, but this is still an interesting story. So, it starts out, you see a picture of a wonderful banana split. Yes, please, thank you. About 1 in 285 children get cancer before turning 20, with the survival rate for childhood cancer being about 80%. Malia Grace Peterson was born on February 18, 2001. Passionate about life and an inspiration to those she met, she also became a patient of childhood cancer, being diagnosed with a Wilms tumor. After a long fight, she passed away on December 7, 2010. Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day, which takes place on the anniversary of Malia's birth, is a day to support, remember, and party on with those touched by childhood cancer. During Malia's family's last trip together, Malia's Make-A-Wish trip, the family ate ice cream for breakfast at Give Kids the World. Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day started out as a posthumous birthday celebration for Malia in 2013, being celebrated by family and friends. The following year, it expanded to a day to honor all children who are battling or who have battled cancer. It supports kids with cancer and their families and increases awareness about childhood cancer. Participants eat ice cream for breakfast and make posts on social media including what they are eating and who they are eating it for. Some also take part in additional efforts to eradicate childhood cancer. And how to observe Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day? Well, of course, eat ice cream for breakfast. In my opinion, eat ice cream for lunch, dinner, any of those, or all. Post a selfie of yourself enjoying your ice cream and include info about what you are eating and who you are eating it for, along with the hashtag #KidsGetCancer2. Share it with or without a tag, and just eat ice cream all day long. There you go.
Absolutely. And may I recommend highly the Bluebell homemade vanilla.
Yes.
Well, we are broadcasting, of course, from the Blind Community Thrift Store, the world's first retail store to use NaviLens to help navigate and inform blind and visually impaired individuals while shopping with little to no assistance. If you'd like more information, visit our website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. And just a reminder, on Wednesdays, clothes are half off. A Missouri lawmaker proposing a faster path towards teaching career amid shortages. This proposal would allow districts to hire teachers with state-approved associate degree. To address chronic shortages, a Missouri lawmaker wants to create a pathway for individuals who complete a state-approved associate degree to teach in public schools. State Representative Willer Haley, a representative from Eldon, said House Bill 2776 creates a fast-track solution to a growing problem. Missouri has a teaching shortage that is beyond anybody's comprehension, he said. We need to get some teachers in our classroom pretty quickly, and the traditional four-year route isn't really working right now. This won't repair this quickly enough. A 2025 report by the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education showed 2,591, or nearly 5% of the teaching positions in the state were vacant or filled by an individual who was not fully certified. He said districts with critical shortages have hired retired teachers to work part-time or individuals with only a substitute certification to fill classrooms. I have probably heard from 40 or 50 superintendents who say, we need this, we can't hire teachers. We post a position and nobody applies, Haley said. Under the proposal, the state could issue a temporary teaching certificate to individuals who complete a specially designed associate degree with specific courses on pedagogy and classroom management. Applicants would have to pass a background check, score high enough on a state test, and participate in district training, mentoring, and evaluations during the first 2 years of their career. There will be teachers that are in charge of nurturing you and helping you develop as a teacher, Haley said. Quote, the goal is that you'll continue your education and long-term go ahead and get that 4-year degree. Shannon Benn, president of the Springfield National Education Association, said the bill could help fill positions in critical shortage areas. If we have somebody who is passionate about that and wanting to get into that, fast-tracking them into the classroom is not necessarily a bad thing. However, the caveat that I put on this is that they would need absolute support. Benny, who leads the union that supports Springfield teachers, said bachelor degree teaching programs are structured to provide practicums, supervised hands-on experience in real classroom settings, and student teaching where there is autonomy but guidance. It would be scary for anybody to just walk into the classroom after only 2 years of training because you're missing out on a lot of things, she said. Brian Milner, president and CEO of the Missouri Community College Association, said the institutions, represented by the MCCA, must provide affordable training and respond to workforce needs. He said the cost of obtaining a bachelor's degree relative to the starting salary teachers are offered may be a deterrent. Missouri state law requires districts pay a minimum teacher salary of $40,000 starting with the 2025-26 school year. The minimum starting pay had been $25,000. What we've tried to do is help superintendents think through creative ways to respond to this problem, he said. Milner said the pathway proposed in the bill is not meant to replace 4-year teacher education programs and may not be ideal for certain teaching jobs. We don't expect this to be a magic bullet that completely fixes the teacher shortage problem. Rather, this is one possible solution, he said. Conversations are still being had about what this will look like or could look like. Milner said the bill would create a shorter path into teaching, similar to the 2-year programs created to work as a registered nurse. Hal Higdon, chancellor of Ozarks Technical Community College, discussed the bill during Springfield Business Journal's People You Need to Know event. He said the option based on models used in other states may be a solution for hard-to-fill teaching positions. He said eligible students can access the A+ scholarship programs at public community colleges in Missouri, which can significantly reduce the cost of an associate degree. If you could use your A+ and get into the teaching field in 2 years with no debt, and then get a job teaching, and then have 5 years to get your bachelor's degree, well, that's a win-win for the students, he said. In written testimony for the legislative hearing, Sedalia Superintendent Tad Fraley said the district has been forced to hire long-term substitutes who may not have a degree or training to fill a teaching post. With fewer and fewer people entering the teaching field, the pool of applicants, especially the quality ones, continues to diminish, he wrote January 20th. The quality of the teacher in the classroom directly impacts the effectiveness of instruction and the educational outcomes of our students. Haley said he was open to tweaking the proposal. Following feedback, he vowed to rework the bill to only focus on elementary teaching jobs. Quote, the bill is changing, so this will not be eligible for high school, he said.
And from the Good News Network, mysterious hero dog leads police straight to a missing 3-year-old that an officer says in a body cam video. A police officer and self-described dog guy hooked his own instincts up with those of a local dog to find a missing 3-year-old in Kentucky. There was a drone and helicopter in the air and a half-dozen officers from the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department scouring the immediate location of a missing persons call on January 7th. Reasoning that a boy that young can't run very fast, Officer Josh Thompson and another officer who rides a beat in that area, named Story, began to canvass the street near the boy's house. As I'm walking to the front door, the craziest thing happens. There's a dog, and he starts walking with me, said Thompson. And at first, you don't know about dogs. You don't know where the dog's from. He's barking, jerking at me a little bit. So I begin to knock on the house again, and then I make a gesture on body cam, kind of funny. I guess I'm a dog guy, right? But I just said, "Let's go find this kid." The dog immediately spun around and started trotting back in the direction Officer Thompson came from, barking periodically. He described it all in a video posted on social media by the department, and at one point said unflappably that the dog was telling him to hurry up, maybe show him just how much Thompson's heart and mind had merged in the moment. Sure enough, they returned to the back of the house, and then Thompson knew that the child was there somewhere. The dog ran over to a parked car and sat next to the back wheel, and Officer Story called out that he'd found the child in the seat of the car. He was locked inside with the child locks on, and they had to coach him on how to open the door. When he finally did, he jumped out of the car, bear-hugged my neck, and wouldn't let go. "I don't think I've ever seen a happier kid in my life," Thompson said. "I don't know where the dog came from, but it was a blessing from God that day." Indeed, neither the department nor CBS, reporting on the event, figured out whose dog it was.
Greene County Planning Board recommends against a battery storage facility after concerns from neighbors and firefighters. And what follows is a meeting where a show of hands in opposition to a battery energy storage system proposed by Sophos Power is called for by the Greene County Planning Board. Only 3 raised hands in favor of the project. Room 212 of the Greene County Historic Courthouse was standing room only last night as the Greene County Planning Board deliberated a proposal from Alabama-based Sophos Power to develop a lithium-ion battery energy storage system known as BESS, B-E-S-S, north of Springfield. After hearing nearly 2 hours of testimony in opposition to the project, the Planning Board unanimously recommended denial of the developer's request to rezone 40 acres of property at 4873 North Rocky Lane from an agriculture district to a plot assignment district to facilitate the project. The final decision ultimately rests with the Greene County Commission, which is expected to take up the proposal at their March 2nd meeting. First District Commissioner Rusty McLaughlin, who is serving as the commissioner's rotating member at the February 17th Planning Board meeting, was among the 7 votes in opposition. County staff, on the other hand, is recommending approval, with 6 conditions addressing exterior lighting, screening, and the eventual decommissioning of the facility, among other issues. And what follows is a shot of a map, the 40-acre parcel located just north of Springfield city limits between Farm Road 151 and Farm Road 159. While some residents and board members recognize the need to strengthen the electrical grid, which the project proposes to do, many question whether the proposed location is suitable for a BESS and express concerns about the fire risks of lithium-ion batteries and the potential contamination of groundwater, particularly due to the prevalence of sinkholes on the property. When you look at some of the technology, frankly, some of it makes sense, said Mike Scott, Planning Board Vice Chairman. But is that the right place? And that's really, I think, what we're sitting at. Is this the right place, and do we have enough information? Do we really have enough information to make a really good decision? Because whatever decision we make is going to set a precedent for where we go from here and how these are dealt with in the future. Though he ultimately voted to recommend denial, Tom Huff questioned some of the concerns raised by residents. Quote, "Unfortunately, I disagree with some of the testimony," Huff said. "I believe that our power grid is in need of help. I think that at some point Greene County will have a battery energy storage system. I think the main issue here, though, is the location. Particulars of the project, this Sophos Power was founded in Spain in 2004. They've been headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama since 2017. Having previously developed solar infrastructure, the company is now focused exclusively on grid improvement through battery energy storage systems. While the company is actively working to develop such systems in a number of regions, it does not yet have one up and running, according to Alex Fukuchi, Battery Energy Storage Project Director with Sophos. Battery energy storage systems are comprised of a group of batteries that are intended to help stabilize electrical grids by storing energy during low demand and releasing it during high demand periods. There are different types of batteries used in BESS, which could vary in energy density, cost, and lifespan. Lithium-ion is one of the most common. Sophos is proposing to develop 242 lithium-ion batteries, which would connect to the adjacent city utilities substation. Sophos would enter, quote, generator interconnection agreements with the municipal utility and the Southwest Power Pool, a regional transmission organization mandated by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. CU has its own battery storage projects underway elsewhere in the county, including one under construction at the Blackman Water Treatment Plant and one planned near Lake Springfield. Unlike the lithium-ion BESS proposed by Sophos, the CU battery storage projects are zinc-based, and according to a 2025 press release from CU, zinc-based batteries, quote, are designed to last longer than traditional lithium-ion technology and are considered among the safest forms of grid-scale energy storage available today. In order to facilitate a connection to the CU substation, Sophos would provide the necessary electrical infrastructure. The project also includes fencing, security, internal access, and maintenance roads, and stormwater control measures. In addition, Sophos would be required to construct a commercial drive in place of Rocky Lane, a private road that currently dead ends on the property. Each battery would be enclosed in large containers fixed with cooling equipment to prevent overheating, and according to Fukuchi, each container would weigh about 100,000 pounds. The project would occupy 16.5 acres of the 40-acre parcel, which is located just south of Farm Road 84 and between Farm Road 151 and 159, just southeast of McDaniel Lake, in an unincorporated Greene County. Development would occur just outside of the sinkhole rims as mapped by Greene County. With an estimated investment of $285 million, Sophos anticipates the project could generate up to $19.9 million in tax revenues, including more than $9 million in property tax revenue over an estimated 20-year lifespan. The rezoning application also points out that the project will, quote, provide a surge in economic activity during construction through local job creation and spending on lodging, goods, and services. That's not an insignificant benefit to the area, especially when there's no corresponding, there's no additional students, there's no additional infrastructure required once this facility is in place to make things work, said David Giesler, an attorney with Husch Blackwell representing Sophos. That's just benefit to the area. The batteries would be monitored remotely, reads the next byline. While rare, recent lithium-ion battery fires have raised concerns around the safety of battery storage systems. In response to these concerns, the Environmental Protection Agency recently issued safety guidance for the installation and operation. In it, the EPA outlines 3 unique challenges posed by lithium-ion fires. Lithium battery fires are extremely difficult to extinguish and may reignite hours or days later. Number 2, batteries can release harmful gases that pose health risks to nearby residents and first responders, and proper cleanup and disposal of damaged batteries requires specialized procedures. The batteries proposed by Sophos would have safely monitoring equipment that would allow staff to remotely monitor and shut down batteries that are increasing in temperature. Fukuchi said a crew of 2 to 4 would perform routine maintenance on the BESS about once a month, but was unable to confirm where the batteries would be monitored from. And in the event of a fire, Brown said the fire department would need to be called. The proposed BESS is located within the Ebenezer Fire Protection District, which provides fire protection services for much of north central Greene County. Sophos would be required to create an emergency response plan that would be finalized with input and approval from relevant county departments and the Ebenezer Fire Protection District. Paul Brown, a consultant with the Energy Safety Response Group working with Sophos on the project, said the best way to put out a BESS fire is to let it consume itself and prevent it from spreading. So if there is an enclosure and it's having a problem, you let it have its problem, Brown said. You let it self-consume, let the bells and whistles go off, you let the alarms go off, they can remotely start to shut things down and send some people out. The fire department shows up. Obviously, we need to train site-specific with what emergency response plan. They see this one potentially smoking a little bit or whatever, they protect their exposures. They cool them down. They keep them cool so it doesn't propagate outside of that. Despite cases of lithium-ion battery fires reaching extreme temperatures and requiring massive amounts of water to put out, Brown argued that based on testing he's been a part of, temperatures aren't any different from those of regular structure fires, and that lithium-ion BESS fires can require, quote, very little water. Asked where water could be sourced in the event of a fire, Brown said that would be a question for the fire department, prompting laughter from the audience. That's the reason why we start that emergency response plan now, so we can have these conversations, Brown said. They can say, you know what, we'd like A, B, and C water supply on site, or you can help us establish some sort of water tender, or we can work that problem out. Brown indicated that the emergency response plan could also address contaminated water runoff, noting that the current proposal does not include a plan for such issues. And residents and board members alike all appeared unconvinced by Brown's assurances, nor the developer's argument of economic development. Gail Emery, a resident of Fairgrove, designated to kick off the testimony in opposition, expressed concern over the potential for contaminated water used to fight a BESS fire entering the groundwater supply. Quote, in this area, you can drive down that road and there is one sinkhole after another, she says. It's a highly active area and sinkholes are direct conduits of surface water into the groundwater. The drinking water source for all rural Greene County and the region. It's difficult to know where these contaminants will end up. And upon seeing the site plan, I saw that there are 3 large sinkholes in that lot, and these cargo container-sized units are packed right in there with them. What could go wrong? She answered her own question by listing the various health risks associated with cobalt, nickel, and manganese, materials commonly used in lithium-ion batteries, including skin allergies, heart problems, liver and kidney damage, thyroid dysfunction, neurological problems in young children and babies, and symptoms similar to Parkinson's disease in adults. Larry Stokes, who lives directly north of the proposed development, said he first became aware of the project when Sophos offered $2,000 a year for an easement on his property and a one-time payment of $9,600 once the project is complete. I told him, go fly a kite. Sophos came back, Stoke recalled, with a bigger offer, $5,000 up front and $80,000 once the project commences. Stokes was concerned about potential adverse impacts to his property values, was unswayed. He said, he was asked, well, what's it going to take? Stokes said, and I flippantly said, well, why don't you just pay me $500,000? And they said, okay. Even with that at stake, Stokes emphasized that he was still opposed to the project.
What a great story for National Battery Day. All right, so looking at, Checky Day, what today is, our holidays. We've already talked about Ash Wednesday. We've talked about cow milked while flying in an airplane day. We've talked about eat ice cream for breakfast day. It's National Battery Day. It's also the start of Ramadan today. But here's one that caught my attention. It is Thumb Appreciation Day. Who knew? Today we celebrate and show a little appreciation for the thumb, which is considered to be one of the most important digits. Made up of 2 bones, thumbs are often known as opposable thumbs because they can be stretched opposite fingers in order to grip things. They can carry out a wide range of uses and motions, such as pinching, grasping, rotating, and flexing. Besides humans, some animals have opposable thumbs or toes, although most do not. These animals are mainly primates like chimpanzees and orangutans. On Thumb Appreciation Day, some people abstain from using their thumbs and instead just use their other fingers, which gives them a better appreciation for their thumbs. Others show their appreciation for their thumbs by using them in various ways, more than they usually would otherwise. So, how to observe Thumb Appreciation Day? Celebrate the day by showing some appreciation for your thumbs. This may mean something different to you than it means to someone else. One of the most popular ways to celebrate is to not use your thumbs the whole day. By doing so, you may gain a new appreciation for your thumbs. Everyday tasks may become a challenge without using them. You can try some of the following. Open a door, use your phone, write with a pencil, play an instrument, button a shirt, pick up change, use a hammer, drink out of a glass, tie your shoes, use a computer, and squeeze a tube of toothpaste. Another way to celebrate is to use your thumbs more often than you usually would to give them the full appreciation they deserve. Some ideas on how to use them are to give a thumbs up to anyone you greet, challenge others to thumb wrestling matches, hitchhike, thumb pick a guitar, or explore the National Thumb Pickers Hall of Fame. Wow.
I had no idea there was even such a thing. Well, I haven't filed mine yet, but from the Springfield News-Leader, the question, where's my refund? How to track Missouri return status in 2026. And it is officially tax season yet again, and many taxpayers are eager to see their refunds arrive in their bank accounts. Millions of Americans have already filed their 2025 tax returns since the IRS began accepting them in late January. And if you're among them, you may be wondering just when you'll receive your refund. Well, here's a couple ways how to track federal and state refunds. First off, federal taxes are due in 2026, obviously Wednesday, the infamous April 15th, and you can file an extension if necessary, and you'll have time until Thursday, October 15th, to submit your tax information. When are Missouri income taxes due? The state filing deadline also Wednesday, April 15th, same day as federal deadline. Where's my state refund? Missouri State Refund Tracker can answer. Missourians can check the status of their state individual income tax refunds and or state property tax credit via the Missouri Department of Revenue's Return Inquiry System. Now, you'll need your Social Security number, filing status, and refund amount to search for any returns you've filed since the 2019 tax year. And it can take up to 5 business days after you file your return electronically for tracking information to appear in the state's tool. You can also check your federal tax refund status through the, quote, Where's My Refund tool on the IRS's website. And like with Missouri returns, you'll need your Social Security number, filing status, and refund amount. And the next byline reads, when will tax refunds be issued? If you filed your taxes online, you can usually expect to receive a refund in 1 month or less. The IRS says it issues most refunds within 21 calendar days. Paper returns can take up to 4 weeks or more. And also keep in mind that the IRS will no longer issue tax refunds by paper checks to most individual taxpayers starting this tax season. And eligible taxpayers can use the IRS Free File program to prepare and file your federal and state tax returns online at no cost.
And from the Springfield Daily Citizen, MSU to plan McDonald Arena locker room reopening Plaster Stadium tunnel. Considered part of the university's FBS transition, a committee of the Board of Governors will see details about hiring an architect during a Thursday meeting. Missouri State University is moving forward with a plan to upgrade McDonald Arena, starting with a locker room upgrade for the football team. The Finance and Facilities Committee of the Board of Governors will discuss hiring an architecture and engineering firm to plan a renovation of McDonald Arena's first floor. The contract for the design work is worth $1,437,525. The project calls for renovating about 8,500 square feet of the building into a locker room for the football team, according to documentation provided by the university. The university hopes construction will be completed before the fall semester in 2027. As part of the project, an underground tunnel that runs from McDonald Arena to the north end of Plaster Stadium will be reconnected. According to the documentation, the hope is that the tunnel would create more excitement on game day, now that the team is member of Conference USA and playing in the NCAA's Football Bowl subdivision. Once an important piece of campus history, this tunnel will be revitalized, creating a dramatic, high-energy moment as the Bears take the field on football game days, states the documentation. This new entrance will elevate the fan experience, intensify pregame excitement, and establish a powerful new tradition for Missouri State football. The tunnel was closed off in previous renovations. The project also calls for renovating about 3,000 square feet for a training area, 2,200 square feet for equipment storage and laundry, and 8,000 square feet into a weight room. It wasn't immediately clear from the documentation how much of those renovated spaces overlap. Currently, the team uses a locker room underneath the western bleachers on game days and training facilities in Forsyth Athletic Center, located on the north side of Meyer Library. Athletic Director Patrick Ransdell in December said that the training center upgrades are a key part of the university's transition into the FBS. The project will require several upgrades to systems in the more than 80-year-old building, including fire protection, plumbing, HVAC, electric, telecommunications, security, and audiovisual. The Daily Citizen has reached out to Missouri state officials for more details about the project and will update this report if a reply is received. The committee is set to meet at 2:15 p.m. at Plaster Student Union. The full board will meet at 8:30 a.m. Friday. Headquartered in Buffalo, New York, Cannon Design was chosen for the project because of its previous experience with complex building construction projects, according to documentation from the university. The firm is expected to provide comprehensive design services from pre-design to post-construction. The cost of the planning will be paid from private donations invested with the Missouri State University Foundation. It marks the first work Missouri State will start on a much bigger plan for the historic arena. The university is asking the state for $23 million to upgrade the building for its ROTC and military science programs, with the idea the building would be home to the university's School of Defense and Strategic Studies. If lawmakers agree to the ask, MSU plans to fully upgrade the building's electrical and mechanical systems and install a new roof. The project is considered more of a rescue than a renovation. Built in 1940, only 17% of the building is now air-conditioned, and McDonald Arena has a long list of deferred maintenance needs. At its construction, the arena was the home court for the university's basketball teams. It also served as a concert hall for acts such as Jim Croce and Cheap Trick, even after Hammond Student Center was opened in 1976.
A federal judge rules Missouri's gas station slot machines are illegal. And a couple of key points in this article: a federal judge has ruled that slot machines in Missouri bars and stores are illegal gambling devices. Torch Electronics, a major operator, plans to appeal the ruling, insisting its games are legal. And Missouri lawmakers are debating legislation to create a state-run video lottery system to replace the current machines. A federal judge on Friday, February 13th, has ruled that slot machines that have operated for years in bars, restaurants, and convenience stores across Missouri are illegal gambling devices under state law. The decision by U.S. District Judge John Ross lands as lawmakers debate whether to legalize machines, and as Attorney General Catherine Hanaway has vowed to shut them down. Ross's 25-page ruling also follows an October federal jury verdict ordering one of the most prominent operators, Wildwood-based Torch Electronics, to pay $500,000 to a competitor that said it lost business after Torch repeatedly claimed its games were not gambling devices and therefore were lawful. Ross pointed to that jury's conclusions, writing that Torch machines, quote, meet the statutory definition of gambling device and are therefore illegal under Missouri law when played outside a licensed casino. And we see a picture of two, quote, no chance gambling machines awaiting customers. This was a picture taken in a Columbia convenience store. A spokesman for Torch said the company remains convinced its machines are legal. Quote, once the court decides the remaining issues before it and enters the final judgment, Torch will appeal, as we're confident our games adhere to the letter and the spirit of Missouri law, said Greg Keller, Torch's spokesman. Torch has relied on high-profile lobbyists, political donations, relationships with prosecutors, and litigation against enforcement agencies to protect its market. Over the past year, Torch has donated $650,000 to political action committees run by lobbyists, former House Speaker Steve Tilley. Warrenton Oil, whose convenience stores host many Torch machines, contributed another $135,000 to those PACs. In 2023, then Attorney General Andrew Bailey withdrew from defending the Missouri State Highway Patrol in a lawsuit brought by Torch after receiving campaign contributions from committees funded by the company. Hanaway, who took office last year after Bailey stepped down for a job with the FBI, has argued there is no gray area. The machines are illegal. Last week, her office filed lawsuits against retail shops in Dunklin County, alleging the businesses were operating illegal gambling machines on their premises. In testimony before the Missouri House Budget Committee earlier this month, Hanaway said her office is also assisting with a federal investigation into illegal slot machines in Missouri involving what she describes as, quote, money laundering and banking questions. Ross noted that he officially declined to issue a broader declaration on the machine's legality after the October verdict, but he said he changed course after concluding that the question had remained unresolved at the state level, citing, quote, ongoing delay, inconsistent outcomes, and resulting uncertainty in the state system. The Missouri House on Monday, February 16th, debated legislation that would create a state-run video lottery system to replace the current games. Companies profiting from unregulated convenience store slot machines would have 1 year to pull their games off the market. The Missouri Lottery would have authority to license video games for installation in retail locations across the state. The licensed machines would have to pay out at least 80% of the money wagered as prizes, and about 1/3 of the profits would be dedicated to state education programs. The bill would also impose a 3% tax on video lottery profits to aid local governments and would increase the fee casinos pay for each patron who enters the gaming floor from $2 to $4. The House adopted several amendments to the bill February 16th, including one adding an additional $250 fee per machine to go towards disability services. The machine was pitched as an effort to help roll back Governor Mike Kehoe's proposed $80.7 million cuts to services that help people with disabilities live safely in their homes and participate actively in their communities. This amendment is about fiscal responsibility and moral responsibility, said State Representative Melanie Stinnett, a Republican from Springfield. State Representative Dean Van Schwak, a Republican from Savannah, pointed to the judge's ruling involving torch in decrying the legalization bill during the February 16th debate. He said these slot machines are, quote, already illegal, and Missouri should find a better way to pay its bills than stealing from its citizens with gambling devices. The goal of the bill is ultimately about providing clarity in Missouri law, said State Representative Bill Hardwick, a Republican from Dixon, sponsoring the legislation. There are illegal games out there. There are games of different varieties, he said. We owe it to business owners to clarify the law.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Come by and see us in person with daily deals at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. Veterans receive a 25% discount every day, providing significant savings as a token of appreciation for their service. Additionally, the store features a weekly clothing sale where all clothing items are available at 50% off every Wednesday. Seniors aged 55 and older benefit from a 25% discount every Tuesday, making shopping more affordable for the senior community. And now we've got a story from the Good News Network. There's a headline here that reads, From 10% to 47%. Cardiac survival rates surge in Texas City that's empowering citizens to save lives. Over the past 2 years, the city of McKinney, Texas, has significantly improved cardiac arrest survival rates through a coordinated effort between its fire and police departments, and now its citizens. 2 years ago, if your heart stopped in McKinney, your chances of surviving were just 10%, the same as many U.S. cities. Today, that survival rate has skyrocketed to 47%, thanks to an unprecedented partnership between the McKinney Fire Department and McKinney Police Department. Officials say the program is modeled in part after practices used in Seattle, and, so far, McKinney's success rate has risen way above the national average of 30%, and closing in on Seattle's leading survival rate of 50%. The city, 30 miles north of Dallas, is now expanding that life-saving work to residents by placing automated external defibrillators, or AEDs, directly into neighborhoods, with the goal of reducing response time citywide. The initiative will make McKinney one of the nation's first 4-minute cities, where an automated external defibrillator is never more than 4 minutes away from any cardiac event. The city's transformation began when Fire Battalion Chief Ben Jones launched the cardiac program by sending a team to train at the Resuscitation Academy in Seattle in late 2024. They returned with a plan to replicate key components of their chain of survival: rapid recognition, immediate CPR, fast AED access, and quick transport. Every minute a cardiac arrest victim waits for care cuts survival by 10%. McKinney installed more than 80 AEDs in every patrol, traffic, and neighborhood police vehicle. Friendly competition between fire and police teams has fueled a life-saving culture shift. In the past year, 9 McKinney residents have been revived in time. Now, McKinney will expand cardiac response by deploying 200 AEDs in a new Neighborhood Heroes campaign. Residents across the city will be enabled to serve as a first responder in the event of a cardiac emergency in their community. Some McKinney police officers were initially skeptical but became true believers after saving lives themselves. It's a really interesting shift in mindset for police officers, and they bought into it, Fire Chief Paul Dow told WFAA-TV. "We want to have these AEDs everywhere in the community," explained Jones, whose fire department will train eligible participants. The American Heart Association has selected the McKinney Fire Department's 4-Minute City model to represent its Heart Health Month campaign this month, highlighting the city's leadership in community-based resuscitation.
A Stratford man is wanted by the FBI in a multi-million-dollar cattle fraud scheme. A couple of key points. The FBI is on the hunt for Joshua Link, a Stratford man currently a fugitive. Link and 4 others were indicted in a $220 million cattle-related wire fraud scheme, and Link faces 13 charges, including wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. The FBI is looking for a Stratford man allegedly connected to a multi-state wire fraud scheme through a cattle sale business. Joshua Link was among 5 people indicted by a federal grand jury in Fort Worth on Wednesday, February 11th, in an alleged nationwide fraud scheme totaling $220 million. Of the 5 indicted, Link is facing the highest number of criminal charges: 10 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and 2 counts of money laundering. He's the only one of the group that remains a fugitive. All of the people indicted were associated with Agridyne LLC, a business headquartered in Fort Worth that offered cattle sales and meat processing and retail services to the public, according to an FBI news release. Link served as the executive director. In a 17-page criminal complaint, the FBI alleges Link and his co-conspirators executed cattle contracts with cattle purchasers that claimed Agridyne would use the purchasers' funds to purchase cattle, care for them, process the meat, and sell it, but instead allegedly used those funds to pay for operating expenses and loan payments and to clear debts owed to earlier cattle purchasers. Those related to the scheme are accused of falsely representing in public and private advertising statements of how profitable the investment would be to individual cattle purchasers, cattle ranchers, and feedlots. According to the court document, they were also accused of fraudulently overstating the valuation of Agridyne's meat inventory and the amount of cattle owned by the business, dispersing funds paid by cattle purchasers to pay themselves excessive salaries, and diverting company funds to pay for their own personal expenses. The FBI alleges Joshua Link and Tia Link, also a defendant in the case, received more than $2.7 million of combined salary and commission payments during that time that the fraud scheme is alleged to have occurred, from at least January 2021 through December of 2023. Court documents allege another $2.4 million went to Jed Wood, a defendant and operations director of Agridyne, and his spouse, and nearly $7 million in commission payments were paid to defendant Tyler Bang, a cattle broker. Funds were also distributed to purchase sheep for purposes unrelated to business operations, and more than $4 million was transferred to a bank account held in the name of another entity created and owned by Joshua Link and Wood, purportedly to operate as a transportation company to deliver retail meat to vendors, according to court documents. The criminal complaint also describes how the defendants allegedly tried to conceal the scheme by generating fraudulent business records, planned to alter dates of sale to influence USDA's review of business practices, and violated cease and desist orders. More than 2,200 individual victims throughout the country paid a combined $220 million into the scheme, per the FBI. If convicted, defendants face up to 20 years in federal prison for each count of wire fraud, another 20 years imprisonment for wire fraud conspiracy, and up to 10 years for each count of money laundering, according to the release. Bang and Tia Link already appeared for arraignment and were released under pretrial supervision, while other defendants are set to appear February 25th. Joshua Link remains a fugitive, with the FBI requesting that the public share any information they have on his location. Beyond Missouri, Joshua Link has ties to Kansas, Illinois, Arkansas, Colorado, and Arizona. He is a white man, brown hair, blue eyes, 6'1" tall, and weighs 185 pounds. Tips can be submitted online at tips.fbi.gov.
Here's a fun story. This is from Yahoo Life. The headline reads, "Iowa fisherman skips Super Bowl to take kids fishing, ends up catching a state record crappie." We see a photo here of a gentleman with a beard and a gray hoodie holding a pretty large fish. Micaiah Thompson and his friend Dan Ginn had other plans this Super Bowl Sunday. Instead of watching the game on the couch, the two fishermen decided to take 5 kids from a church youth group ice fishing. The group headed out that afternoon to the 85-acre Lake of Three Fires, which is located in the state park of the same name in Iowa's Taylor County. The kids wanted to catch panfish, and Three Fires is loaded with them, Thompson tells Outdoor Life. They started catching bluegills left and right, but Dan and I were after walleyes, so we were trying for them with jigs and minnows. We had some tip-ups out too. The 7 anglers were scattered around a tapering point in the lake that dropped from 3 to 17 feet. Using sonar, Thompson was jigging around a deep brush pile he'd found that was loaded with fish. It was about 6 p.m., full dark, and we were picking up to leave when I had a good-sized fish I saw on sonar come for my lure, says Thompson, age 35, of Greenfield. The fish missed it, but I had another green jig and a minnow deep down in a second hole nearby, and the fish hit that one hard. Using a small ice fishing outfit rigged with 10-pound test braided line and a 4-pound monofilament leader, Thompson worked in the heavy fish during a 1-minute fight. I thought it was a walleye the whole time, even when I got it up into the ice hole, he says. I didn't have a flashlight, so Dan came over to help me get the fish up. Its mouth was so big we thought it was a walleye. Only when he put his flashlight on it did we know that it was a crappie. He was disappointed at first because it wasn't a walleye. Then he realized the size of the huge crappie. They weighed the fish that night on a scale they had, which read 4.1 pounds. Because it was Super Bowl Sunday and most places were closed, they didn't get the crappie officially weighed until 2 days later. The anglers originally wanted to keep the crappie alive, so they kept it in an aerated bait bucket filled with cold water. On February 10th, after they had the fish weighed on a certified scale at a lumber yard, they realized the fish wasn't going to make it and decided to keep it. The black crappie weighed 3.95 pounds, topping the previous Iowa record of 3.88 pounds that was caught in 2013. We had to wait until an official from the state came to positively identify it as a black crappie before I knew it was a record catch, says Thompson. My crappie was 17.8 inches long, and Dan caught another crappie earlier that measured 17.2 inches long, nearly as big as mine. Sounds like a good way to spend the Super Bowl Sunday.
And crappie is good eating. In business news, Springfield Bank branch invites a community to tour ribbon cutting. Four States Bank has opened a new branch in Springfield and is inviting the community to a ribbon cutting event. The full-service branch at 2045 South Glenstone is now open and offers a range of personal and business banking services, according to a community announcement. The ribbon cutting celebration is set for 11 a.m. on February 24th in partnership with the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce. Community members are welcome to attend, tour the new space, and meet the local banking team and enjoy some light refreshments. Four States Bank President and CEO Jeff Williams expressed enthusiasm about the expansion. Quote, "We are proud to officially open our doors in Springfield," Williams said in the announcement. "Springfield has been an important market for us, and establishing a physical presence here allows us to better serve our customers with the personalized, relationship-driven banking experience that defines Four States Bank. The new branch aims to provide local decision-making, responsive service, and comprehensive financial solutions to the community," according to the announcement. The branch is designed to support both individuals and businesses with convenient access to experienced bankers and tailored financial services. More about Four States Bank. They are a community bank offering a variety of banking services. The Springfield branch joins other locations in the region, expanding the bank's footprint in southwest Missouri. And one other quick business story here. Trader's Joe has revealed 8 new store locations. I do not, though. Spoiler, see Missouri listed here. Trader Joe's is planning to open 8 new locations across the country, adding several locations to its coming soon list. The California-based grocer currently operates in 42 states, leaving Alaska, Hawaii, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Mississippi, and West Virginia without locations. Last week, Trader Joe has announced 6 new stores planned for Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Kansas, and Washington. Those additions build on 2 locations previously revealed in January 2025 for Louisiana and Texas. And, quote, "We are actively looking at hundreds of neighborhoods across the country as we hope to open more neighborhood stores each year," a Trader Joe spokesperson recently said.
And from the Springfield Business Journal, Wilson Logistics to pay $50,000 to settle EEOC discrimination suit. We see a picture of a semi-truck and trailer with the Wilson Logistics logo on the side, big W, bright red and yellow. Stratford-based Wilson Logistics agreed last week to pay $50,000 to Gerald McCrary, a deaf truck driver, to settle a disability lawsuit filed July 31, 2024 by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Filed in federal court for the Middle District of North Carolina, the EEOC lawsuit alleged that the company, registered with the state under Transportation Management Group Incorporated, violated the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Civil Rights Act. EEOC officials said in a February 12th news release that McCrary, a job applicant, contacted Wilson Logistics seeking work as a truck driver. McCrary possessed a commercial driver's license, relevant work experience, and an exemption from hearing requirements by the U.S. Department of Transportation. A Wilson Logistics representative told the applicant that the company did not hire individuals who communicate through sign language, EEOC officials said in the release. The Wilson Logistics representative also reportedly told the applicant the company would not hire someone who could not read, write, and speak English. According to a consent decree agreed to by both parties on February 9th, Wilson Logistics denied the EEOC's allegations, including that it discriminated against the applicant or other applicants in violation of the ADA. The company agreed to pay the defendant to resolve the matter while admitting no wrongdoing, the consent decree states. The Americans with Disabilities Act protects job applicants as well as employees, said Melinda C. Dugas, regional attorney for the EEOC's Charlotte District, in the release. An employer that refuses to consider a job applicant solely because the applicant has a disability violates federal law. Contacted by Springfield Business Journal, Wilson Logistics released a written comment that states, "Wilson Logistics denies any wrongdoing. The company resolved this case with the EEOC to avoid the expense and uncertainty of a trial. Wilson Logistics has no tolerance for unlawful discrimination and is committed to providing a workplace where everyone feels respected and valued." The decree requires Wilson Logistics not to discriminate against anyone with a disability through all phases of employment, including recruitment, hiring, training, promotions, and other phases. It also requires Wilson Logistics not to discriminate against individuals with hearing-related disabilities who meet basic truck driver position requirements, and also hold an exemption from hearing regulations issued by the U.S. Department of Transportation. According to the decree, Wilson must ensure its job application materials, which require applicants to confirm they speak English, also ask whether the applicant holds a U.S. DOT hearing exemption. The company is also required to identify a point person to be notified of and oversee processing of all calls from individuals with hearing-related disabilities who inquire about employment.
Bayer agrees to $7.25 billion settlements in Roundup cancer lawsuits. German chemical giant Bayer has agreed to pay $7.25 billion to settle thousands of lawsuits alleging its Roundup weed killer causes cancer. The proposed settlement, which must be approved by a St. Louis court, would compensate people nationwide who were exposed to Roundup products and diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma, as well as those who are diagnosed in the future. Quote, "When an innocent person is harmed through no fault of their own, accountability is not optional, it's necessary," said Eric Holland, a St. Louis attorney for plaintiffs. While no financial recovery can reverse a diagnosis or turn back time, this settlement will provide substantial support and offer stability to the families who need it most. Bayer has faced an avalanche of litigation contending that glyphosate, an ingredient patented by Missouri-based Monsanto in 1971, can cause non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and that Roundup labels failed to warn users about the risk. Bayer acquired Monsanto in 2018 and operates its U.S. agricultural business as Bayer Crop Science. The company has paid about $11 billion to settle nearly 100,000 Roundup lawsuits, with roughly 61,000 still pending, according to a website that tracks the litigation. Bayer has already stopped making glyphosate-based Roundup for home use, and in September said it was seeking regulatory approval for a new herbicide to replace glyphosate-based Roundup for agricultural and commercial use in the U.S., Europe, Canada, Australia, and Brazil. The new settlement follows the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to hear Bayer's appeal, arguing that federal law preempts state failure to warn claims involving the Roundup label. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency does not require Roundup labels to warn about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. In Missouri, Bayer has spent the last 2 years pushing lawmakers to pass legislation that would shield the company from certain lawsuits. The bill narrowly passed the Missouri House last year, but lobbying missteps, including a campaign targeting some of the most conservative members of the state Senate, ultimately derailed the effort. In October, the Missouri Supreme Court declined to hear Bayer's appeal of a $600 million judgment in a Roundup lawsuit brought by 4 people who said they developed cancer after regularly using the product to control weeds.
History Museum exhibit spotlights Springfield's national contributions. A new museum exhibit celebrates the contributions of Springfield and the Ozarks to the nation to align with the 250th anniversary of the United States and the 100th anniversary of Route 66. The History Museum on the Square, celebrating its own 50th anniversary in 2026, opened only in Springfield from hometown to headlines with a February 12th reception. The exhibit will be up through May 10th and is included with regular museum admission. Text and photos line the walls of the exhibit space. No artifacts are included, in patriotic red, white, and blue. The introductory panel explains that the exhibit celebrates a legacy of influence and achievement for the city and region. The region's communities have nurtured talent, innovation, and leadership that have reached far beyond Missouri, the panel states. From pioneering entrepreneurs and artists to athletes and storytellers, the people of the Ozarks have shaped American culture, industry, and ideas. Their accomplishments reveal how a single Midwestern region can leave a lasting mark on the nation's story. The exhibit spans from early days of the Queen City to the present, with some expected content like Brad Pitt and Chappell Roan, internationally recognized in film and music respectively, but also some quirky local details from the Cobra Scare, when imported cobras were released near St. Louis Street in 1953, to what are referred to as the Cheese Caves of Springfield, a cold storage area known today as the Springfield Underground. Standout business stories like the Cheese Caves are included throughout the exhibit, and there is a separate section just for business accomplishments. The exhibit details, for example, how Andy's Frozen Custard was founded in Osage Beach in 1986 before opening in Springfield, and from there it grew to include 170 locations across 15 states with plans to expand to more. Springfield-style cashew chicken is also memorialized from its invention in the Queen City in the 1960s by Chef David Leong. The interpretive panel calls the deep-fried chicken coated in brown sauce a celebrated example of regional culinary innovation. Bratz dolls, fashion dolls designed by Springfieldian Carter Bryant and launched in 2001 by MGA Entertainment, according to the exhibit, are attributed to Bryant's observations of local high schoolers in 1998, and a photo shows a huge display of them in a store called Bratz World in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Another area honors writers who hail from Springfield. Nationally prominent mystery writer Nancy Allen, author of the Ozarks Mystery and Anonymous Justice series, and a collaborator with James Patterson, attended the opening reception, and she counted herself proud to be among those included. Having my name included on the wall with the late Daniel Woodrow, who created the country noir genre, was a real thrill, she said via Facebook message. Allen added that her mother, who died 28 years ago, was a proud Springfieldian who loved the History Museum and frequently took her grandchildren to visit it, back when it was located at the Bentley House and the historic City Hall. While I stood inside the museum last night, I got misty-eyed thinking how excited she would be to see that I was included in the exhibit, she said. David Harrison, current poet laureate of Missouri and author of more than 100 children's books, according to the exhibit, was surprised to hear that he was included. Reached via Facebook Messenger, 88-year-old Harrison said he was completely surprised to learn that he was part of the exhibit, but he joked, "Putting me in a museum seems about right." Brought up to speed upon being forwarded a news release, Harrison said of the exhibit, "Wow, what a nice idea." He added, "I'm thoroughly honored to find myself included in such a grand retrospective." The exhibit is sponsored in part by the Missouri Humanities Council, which provided a $25,000 U.S. semi-quincentennial grant to be split between the new exhibit and the museum's own 50th anniversary exhibit, 50/50, Half a Century of History, which ran October 8, 2025 through January 4th, according to Charlotte McCoy, business manager. The exhibit was mounted by Sarah Dotson, Collection and Exhibits Manager. "We focused on names or stories or headlines that have made national or international news," she said. Sean Fitzgibbons, the museum's executive director, said the exhibit is not exhaustive. We tried to get as many as we could, but of course, there are going to be some people and stories we're going to miss, he said. We're asking the community to let us know what we missed, and we'll include it in the next iterations.
And we would like to thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service today. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday from 10 till noon for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, the Daily Citizen, and the Springfield Business Journal. And listen after we're live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for more information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And don't forget to visit the Blind Community Thrift Store. Just a reminder again, on Wednesdays, 50% off all clothing. Thank you so much.